Is
Yes.
the volume good? Okay. Okay, good. Yay, I'm excited to be here. Hello,
So
everyone.
thank you so much for joining us.
Of
I'm
course.
Carol, mainly Manningham, and like I said, Jessica and I started this. Where's my book? What to Post, and in session two. So we've got homework every week, and we're doing like a Facebook group so that we're accountable to each other. So since we only have 30 minutes with you, last week we just kind
I,
of went
I can
through.
go longer if you guys want me to. So it's up to
Okay. Well,
you guys.
as long as we have you, that's great because we just want you to pour any information that you have
Yes.
into us. Today we were going to
Yes.
talk a little bit about just the second part, which is the four E's that are the five E's that you went
Mhm.
through. So anyway, anything that you want to tell us, we're just going to let you go and we're just going to take lots of notes as you're talking to us.
Yes. Okay. I love it. First of all, thank you everybody so much. It's so kind. It makes my heart so happy, especially as a true teacher. I realize my purpose in this world is to be a teacher, and I love teaching. And so thank you so much. It makes my heart so happy that y'all are doing this together. Yes, I have so much to add that's not in the book, right? So this is going to be a perfect segue over into doing that. And there's two things that I want to focus on because I know that obviously what to post is all about content creation. And so there's two things that actually aren't in that book that will be in my next book. So you're going to hear it here first.
Great.
So simplified things even more because, as we evolve and grow and learn, especially as a teacher, I've learned to articulate abstract concepts in more of a concrete way. So I wanted to share sort of like just the very simple three types of content that every personal brand needs to use. And I want to tell you why, what they do and why they work together and why when we don't have one or we don't have two of them, we need all three. And if we don't have all three of them, what happens is we end up getting really discouraged about posting on social media. So since y'all are taking notes, go ahead and just write down just like do like three columns so that we can just take some notes on the three different types of content. So the first type of content is personal. So just write personal, okay? And then under the word personal, I want you to write the word engagement because that's what personal content is designed to do. Okay, nothing else. It's not designed to get more sales. It's not designed to get people to share your content. It's truly designed just for engagement. Okay, the second column is going to be expertise content. And that is meant for something very specific as well. So underneath expertise, I want you to write SEO, search engine optimization. Or you could just write search if you want searchability. I want you to write search. I want you to write shares. And then I want you to write resource and the word trust. And then the last column is going to be for sales. Okay, we know what that is. That's to get people to take action. That's to get sales and to get conversions. And so I'm going to kind of deep dive on all of these here. And when I look at people's content, right? When I do a content audit, I can almost before I look at someone's content, I can guarantee you what they're missing from the content. And usually, 97% of the time, not always, but most of the time, it's actually the first one. It's the P. It's the personal. And I want to talk about that because my background is in psychology. Before I wrote this book, I wrote a whole other book about how we build trust online and create, connections through video. And what I've discovered is that our brain has a very specific sequence in how we develop trust with human beings. And that's even more important when you're online in a digital world. So, the way that we develop trust with humans is I like to give the example of going to a conference. So, we've all been to a conference, right? So, let's pretend we're going to like a really big, gigantic real estate conference. And we might as well go to Vegas since like that's where all the big conferences are, right? So, let's pretend we're going to Vegas. And there's like 10,000 realtors at this conference and we're excited and they're pumping us up. We go in the room, right? And they have the tables set up, the round tables and you just randomly find a table and you sit down and there's like eight other people that are there. Well, what do you do? Well, you probably chit chat, small talk with the person next to you, and you're like, oh, where are you from? Oh, wow, you're from Scottsdale. Oh my gosh, I have a family member that lives nearby there. Wow, that's awesome. Oh, so what brokerage are you with? Oh, cool, right? Small talk. Why do we always start with small talk with people we don't know? Because human beings need psychologically safe entry points of content to initiate. The keyword is initiate, initiate a conversation. So if we want people to start a conversation on social media with us, meaning comment on our post, ask a question, engage with us and send a direct message, we have to give them small talk moments and opportunities so that we can get to the big talk. Because a lot of us, me included, we love expertise. We love a how to. Let me give you a market update. Let me teach you something about investing in real estate. Let me give you this really important thing that you need to know about mortgages. We love to give that kind of information because somebody told all of us years ago, you got to provide value. You got to show up and be a resource. You've got to be an authority. And yes, we do. But the problem is, if I don't know you yet, or we haven't connected on the small talk, it's going to take a lot of posts before I finally engage with you. If we want to accelerate engagement on our expertise posts, which I know y'all do and love, we've got to have some of the small talk. So I want to bring you back to the conference, right? So you small talk your people, and the conference starts. You guys have a great conference. You go your separate ways. Conference day number 2 comes around, and you guys go down to the Starbucks in the hotel before you go to the conference room. And maybe that person or another person from your table happens to be in the Starbucks line too. You're probably going to say, hey, good morning. Good to see you. Did you have fun last night? Something very simple like that. We would not say that unless we already had a little bit of small talk. So my point here is this. When you give people small talk moments and they start small talking, they are more likely to continue to do it in the future, just like real life. Now, I know what our challenge is. Our challenge is, oh, but Chelsea, I'm a private person. I don't want to become an annoying overshare. I want to be a relatable human that people really like, but I don't want to document my whole dang day. I don't want to embarrass my family. I don't want to be cringe. I am a private person. I'm an introvert, all of the things, right? And to that, I say this. We don't actually keep business and personal separate. We actually keep business and private separate. Let me explain the difference, right? As realtors, I'm no longer a realtor, but I was licensed for 18 years. And friends, I did real estate before social media existed. So we didn't have all this stuff that we could use. But one of the things that we all had to learn was how do you build rapport? Because our particular industry is a very high emotional risk, long sales cycle industry. We are not selling notebooks. We are navigating through the worst, the best, the most exciting, the most stressful process any human will go through, and the most expensive. So we have to realize that as emotions go up and as like that high emotional risk goes up, trust is even more important. How do we build trust? We have to start with small, approachable moments. And that's why people are like, yeah, but I don't understand how showing what my coffee order at Starbucks is going to help me get more business. I'm telling you exactly how it will now, right? So, personal content is not private. Well, what the heck is it? It is the kind of topic that you would talk to someone you just met at a conference, somebody that maybe started a conversation to you next to you on the airplane. This is whatever you feel comfortable sharing as a human being. It's not private. You guys determine what that is. If you don't want to show your kids, totally fine. You don't want to post in real time, absolutely okay. I'm not talking about sharing how much money you paid on taxes, who you voted for. If you want to, totally your prerogative. But what happens is when we have really incredible, high value expertise content like I know y'all are making, my brain has to think. And another thing about our brain is that our brain doesn't like to burn brain calories because we're making 35,000 decisions a day and we probably only realize we're making like 10. So anytime my brain has to think, we are in trouble. So imagine going to Instagram or going to TikTok and I see all this content. And then I see your amazing content where you are breaking down what is happening in the market in your particular area and what you need to know about interest rates. I have to pay attention. And I also have to burn some brain calories, okay? So what happens is when we have personal content, like maybe it's my birthday and I post a birthday post, what do you say when somebody posts about their birthday?
Happy birthday.
Oh my gosh, didn't have to think. That was great. Yes, oh my gosh, happy birthday. Or if I said, hey, does anybody have any recommendations? We're going to Disneyland for the first time. Has anybody been there? What do you suggest? And then people are like, oh, yes, I have. I can give you all of that, right? We need content that is easy for us to engage with. It's kind of like when you're on LinkedIn, and I know this has happened to all of us. We go on LinkedIn and we're really trying to engage. We're trying to make comments. And then you look at the comments, or it's like, wow, people are like really thoughtful. Like people have like really studied, like they're really leaving some good comments. And like it's just our brain just says, nope, can't do it, don't have the time. So we just skip on to the next post. So without the personal stuff, okay, we're not giving people small talk moments. We're expecting them to jump right into big talk moments. And that's not how we roll as human beings. Okay. So that's the first thing that I always diagnose. I'm like, ooh, I see you're really good at expertise in sales, but we don't have any personal. So what are some examples of like personal stuff that you could do that's not private? Well, how ironic, I just made a post on my Instagram. So there's like probably 50 different ideas in there, but I'm going to give you some that I personally have done. One, I made a post that said, hey guys, I'm doing 75 hard, never done it before, and I'm not really like a fan of breakfast. Anybody have any suggestions? Can I tell you how many suggestions I got about breakfast and also 75 hard and whatever? Nothing to do with me as a speaker, as a coach, my books, nothing. It has everything to do with creating familiarity, relatability, likability, offering people opportunities to say hello. And then what happens is once somebody comments, the algorithm takes over. The algorithm is going to make sure that the people who commented on that post are going to see my future content next week. That's not about 75 hard. And because I'm also a proactive engager and I don't just wait for engagement, I give it because if you want better engagement, you have to be a better engager first. Now those people know me as a human, they've talked to me, they're more likely to actually pay attention to the expertise stuff where I talk about social media marketing. And maybe some people aren't interested in my social media marketing stuff. They're not at all. They're there for other reasons. And so maybe they're like they skip all that, right? But they engage with the personal stuff. And because they engage with the personal stuff, now they pay attention. Even if they don't watch it, they're seeing me talking about what I do. And then maybe one day they actually give it a like because they're like, oh, I like Chelsea. She's, we have a good conversation. And then maybe one day I actually watch half of it. And then maybe I share it with someone else, right? But I wouldn't have done that had I not had the small talk. So number one, that's the first piece of homework is you need to go look through your content, especially on Instagram. It's easier for us to do this on Facebook. Um, am I doing anything that's like personal, human, connecting, right? So I talked about 75 Hard. I also talk about my favorite books, my favorite podcasts, my morning routine. And I will tell you that if you are fearful of your content being boring because we all discount our lives, we think, well, we're just normal everyday people and my life is boring. I want you to ask a question because when you ask somebody for help, we naturally want to help people. We want to give our opinion. We want to give our feedback. So when you say, hey, has anyone been to Disneyland? What do you recommend? You're inviting people into the conversation, right? When you're saying, hey, has anybody done 75 hard? And I'm not a big breakfast person. What do you recommend? Right? I could make a post about, hey, I'm doing this thing. That's cool, still human. But the fact that I ask for people's help, ask for opinions and insights, that's going to make it even better on the engagement. And then the last piece about why personal content is so necessary in today's world is that let's be real, people are not engaging like they used to. And that's not our fault. The reason people are not engaging like they used to is because of two things. One, there's a whole bunch of content that from people we don't even know. Like 50% of your content in your Instagram feed is from people you don't know. That the algorithm has said, "Hey, you might like this person." We don't engage with people the same way that we don't follow. We usually just don't even engage with them. We just watch quietly. Maybe they get a like, right? Maybe you share it privately to your friend group or whatever. So it's trained the engagement out of us. And so people are getting really bummed out, making really good, high value expertise content, me included. And it's like crickets, right? And so make the personal posts so that you can actually be like, ah, there's people out there and they're talking. So it's a boost for you too to be like, hey, keep going because people want to engage with people, but we also need to market ourselves. We need to position ourselves. So that's first right there is personal. Okay. Now let me get to the E and the S and then I'll tie it all together. The second one where we spend most of our time is expertise. That's your how-tos. That's your here's what's happening in your area. That's even your fun stuff like my favorite local pizza shop, my favorite coffee place I like to go to, because that's about the community that you're serving, right? So that really is about real estate. This is your boring title and escrow tips. This is your boring finance and mortgage tips. We need that. Why? For a couple of reasons. The goal is not to get comments and engagement. That's personal. If you get comments and engagement, amazing. The goal of expertise-based content is to, one, educate your algorithm so that your algorithm knows, wow, you make a lot of content about real estate in this particular area. You've answered a lot of people's questions. And so when somebody comes and types in the search bar a question, we are going to likely serve your content. By the way, if you have not noticed, Google has a new tab. If you Google your name or someone else's name in the office, you will now see that the Google results have short videos at the top. And now you can click on short videos, and every video you posted on Instagram, Facebook, Reels, TikTok now shows up. And so they are pulling content from your socials and serving it up as search results. So what I'm saying is, I don't care if nobody watches it for a year. You're building a content library that eventually, when someone searches for that topic or that question, they're going to find on Google or they're going to get served in Instagram or they're going to get served on TikTok, right? So it's about visibility and searchability. And eventually, people will see your content, whether it's from 6 days ago or 6 years ago. So this is really awesome news because for a long time, your post was dead after 48 hours. Now it's searchable and it can be surfaced in recommendations. So that's one reason. Number two, your expertise content is positioning you as the resource and authority. You are building trust. You are showing people, I know what I'm talking about. And they may not watch your videos, but they are going to see them. They're going to see them like billboards on the highway. They're driving down that highway like this, and they're going to see you. The personal stuff is going to get them to engage more in the expertise stuff. But that's going to build you as the authority. And lastly, it's the kind of content that if somebody was going to share, it's going to be that. They're not going to share your vacation pics. That would be weird. They're going to share your really helpful tip. They're going to share your deep dive on X, Y, and Z. And so what happens with shares is that that's how you grow organically. So the more you get your content shared, the more the algorithms are like, whoa, wait a minute, people are sharing this. It doesn't matter if they share it privately. Like if I send a post to my sister, that's good for the poster, right? If I share it to a story, it's good for the poster. So that's what expertise posts are for. So do not get discouraged when your views are much less, your comments are much less on your expertise post than your cute dog video, right? So they serve different purposes. And last but not least is sales. Sales would be your just listeds, your just solds, your open houses, your testimonials. Now, those are not designed for engagement. And maybe if you have like a really great friend, you'll get a comment on your new listing, right? Maybe somebody will share it with a friend. but it's not designed for that. And so if we're stuck in expertise and sales posts and we don't have personal, you guys are going to feel really discouraged. They're just going to be like, I'm posting consistently, but I'm not really seeing any engagement and not really seeing any comments. It's probably because you don't have the personal, right? Or maybe you're all sales. Maybe it's all just listed, all just sold, and there's no expertise where you're actually talking in videos and sharing that expertise, and there's no personal. So that's why you have to have like this equal triangle of that content because it just leads to the other, and it's this loop, this feedback loop. So sales is to get sales, right? And personally, if I can be transparent, I hate making sales posts because in my human brain, I'm like, oh God, if I make a sales post, I don't want everybody to think I'm salesy. And which is so silly, but I'm a human being too, and that's a limiting belief that I deal with. And you know what happens every time I make a sales post? I make a sale. And the funny thing is that person who signs up for my coaching or whatever never leaves a comment. They just go and buy. And I'm like, I love that. And I'm like, oh, that's right. I need to remind people how they can work with me, what I do. I need to show them the social proof and I need to remind them because now we've had our small talk. They've even seen me do the big talk. And now when this sales post comes in at the right time and they're ready, they do something. So that's why we need those three big basic categories. And so when you go into the book and you do like the E's, etc., obviously educational is going to go under expertise, but you can put entertaining under personal. You can also make your expertise entertaining too. But I really want to drive home that personal part because our brains work in a very specific way and our brains don't skip steps. And so if you want to see faster results on social, it's going to be putting more of like that human element in. The other question I get all the time is, oh, okay, so now that we have personal expertise in sales, we got the three types. Do we need to post 3 times a week? No. If you want to post 3 times a week and that literally brings you so much joy, like you jump out of bed, your feet hit the floor, and you're like, I cannot wait to make some content today. I am jealous. I love that for you. I wish that was me. No, you can post as little as once a week if you want to in the feed, but you need to be talking to people every day. So I'd rather have you comment. I'd rather have you DM people than worry about posting. Okay. You will get more relationships because it's human to human out of that than your posts because people don't remember your posts. They remember your presence, right, in their life and your conversations. So, I mean, I don't keep a tracker. I'm like, huh, it's been a while since I've made a sales post. I probably should make one. If you like a schedule, maybe you do one expertise, one personal a week. Maybe you do two expertise this week, and maybe it's a personal and a sales the next week. So make it your own, but have that variety in there so that people get this like sort of holistic view of who you are and opportunities to engage where we can easily engage and don't have to think because your clients that you just bought a house from you 5 years ago, they probably don't have real estate questions right now, but we still want to engage with them so that they do refer us. So they're going to engage with those other posts. Okay, questions, thoughts. That was a lot of information. Um, Feel free to just shout it out.
That was a lot of information. So you talk a lot in the second piece about content versus context. Could you give us
Mhm.
just a little bit of an overview of
Yes,
that?
that's a really good segue from what we just talked about. So your clients don't need more content. They need more context. They need to know if they trust you, if they're relating to you. That's why that personal part comes in. And so those are those connection points where people can say, "Oh my gosh, yeah, I feel like I already know you. It's really weird. Like I know we haven't really like met each other, but I feel like I know you." So my goal is to create content that can make a stranger feel like they already know me. And that does happen in my world. And what happens often is I'll get on a Zoom call with somebody that I've never met physically. but they'll say, "Oh my gosh, so and so referred you, and I didn't know about you, but I checked your Instagram last night and I watched some of your videos, and I think you'd be perfect for what we're looking for." Like they've already bought me, they've already bought in, and they feel like they know me, right? Because our brain can't tell the difference between seeing someone's face, on a screen and in real life. So what an amazing tool to be able to have people decide they want to work with you when they've never even met you and you were sleeping while they were watching your videos, right? It's wild. So context is how you put your vibe, your personality, your perspective, your lived experiences into that content. It can be something as simple as one, instead of giving tips with a chart, you actually make a video. Maybe there's a green screen and the tips are behind you, but one thing that is totally original that nobody else can copy is honestly you, the person, right? Nobody has this, right? And so that's how I can make content original. How else do you make content original? I infuse my personality, my vibe, my style. I like to make up weird words. That goes in my content. People can get a sense of my personality through my background, my clothes, the fact that I have a dog in the video, whatever it is, right? That's original. And then lastly is perspective, which is your point of view, your opinion, your experience with something. And really, those three things are the only way to make real estate content original. Every real estate post that has been made. There is no original real estate content on the planet. There will never be as long as we live. Somebody's done it, a million people have done it. So the only way for us to provide context and to make original content is to put those three things in it: the person, the personality, and the perspective. Now, perspective is what scares all of us because the perspective, that's a little bit vulnerable. You want me to put my opinion out there in the world of people with open comments? I don't think I want to do that. So here's a way that I worked through that. I call that fear of being the expert. Because when you think of an expert, you think of somebody that like, I know all the things, right? And I'm going to tell you the way that you should be doing this. And I'm going to say that this is the best way because I know. That is one way to do it, right? And if there is a fear of being the expert or a fear of someone coming for you in the comments, right? Because if you have an opinion, somebody will disagree with it. It just is what it is. I don't care if it's you're talking about your favorite Halloween candy. People will be like, candy corn, disgusting. Can't believe that you like it. Horrible, right? Unfollow. But I want you to think, instead of telling people like prescriptively what they should be doing, I want you to think about, what is a story that has happened to me? Let me think of a time that a client didn't call to verify wiring instructions before they sent it, and something that happened. Let me think about the time that a client did something or didn't do something in an inspection. That is a lived experience. That's a story. And so let me just show you the before and after. The before, if I was doing it for my audience, I'd say, here's three things that every real estate agent needs to be putting in their videos. That's a very prescriptive, you should do this, right? Expert type of vibe. Instead of saying that, I can just come over here and say, here's how I make my talk to camera videos and why I make them this way. Now, nobody's like, that's wrong. I don't make my videos like that. You are now telling me a story of something that happened to you and why you did it. And what happens when you come from a place of stories of why I did something or what happened to my client or why my client decided something, people say, oh, okay, they learned the lesson, but you're not telling them what to do. And even if they had a different experience, they can still appreciate that this is your experience. So if there is that fear of that, we just shift it from, I'm going to tell you what to do, to I'm going to tell you what I did. And I'm going to tell you what my client did. And that's going to also help you tell more stories, which is what people connect with as well, versus just information. So context is a really abstract idea, but it's really the essence of you. And I just break it down into person, personality, perspective, because we really follow people that have a perspective. And I will tell you that when you have a perspective, people will disagree with it. And my perspective on social media is I would rather talk to people and create human connections than post 3 times a day every day. So that is a complete opposite from what a lot of other social media people do. And that is an opinion that I hold. People who want to do hustle and hacks and all that, they don't probably follow me. And that's cool, right? Because the people that connect with me, they like that perspective. They agree with that perspective, but it is not for everyone, especially in my world. I don't have a content calendar. I don't pre-plan content. I don't post 3 times a week. I don't post on the same days or the same times. That is very different than what the majority of social media coaches teach. So I'm okay with that. And that's the thing is that, you've got to have that a unique perspective, which is the only way we can make original content. But I understand the vulnerabilities of also sharing a unique perspective. So maybe kind of baby step it in there with some of those techniques that I shared. So great question. What else?
I've got more, but if you guys have stuff.
Go for it.
No, no, you
No,
go.
you go,
No,
Jess. Jess, you go.
No.
Jess, you go.
I've been told that posting your personal and your stories is more for like your friends versus like content in your feed would be like your business posts. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah. So my personal, what I'm personally doing. So again, here we go. I'm like, let me tell you what I'm doing, right? And what you should do. What I'm personally doing actually is, so one, you being in your content, even if it's expertise or sales content, you physically being in it, the video, the pictures, that's a little check mark for personal, right? It's not quite what I'm looking for, but A plus plus, right? So that's one way to simply make it a little bit more personal is if you're never in your content, you need to be in the content. Now, the next level is um, you don't have to show family to talk about family. You don't have to show the thing to talk about it. So I'm saying you can get personal without going into personal details. You can also be vague. So for example, when I talk about going to social media marketing world, and it's something that I've always wanted to do, I've always wanted to be on the stage. It was a dream of mine. I can talk about how, as a mom, I didn't know how I was ever going to juggle, blah, blah, blah. That's a personal human story, but I'm talking about what I do too. So there's ways to incorporate humanity and personal stories into even expertise in sales posts, right? That's ultimately our goal. But I am actually putting in more personal content in my feed and not just in my story. And I'm doing that because I want to have more conversation. I want more engagement. And you know what? I'm actually enjoying it a lot more than making just my expertise posts. I'm having more fun with it. I'm more creative. So, yeah, you could keep all personal stuff in your stories if you want, and keep expertise in sales in the feed, although you're going to get more sales in your stories. So, honestly, you should put sales in stories too. You can cross whatever, right? You can put all three in the feed, all three in the stories. But most people do leave personal for stories and then expertise and sales in the feed. And there's one thing to be said about what most people do. When most people do something, we get really used to it. So when some people do something out of the ordinary that most other people aren't doing, we notice, meaning we see a lot of expertise content. We see a lot of edited videos, a lot of like really cool like captions flying in and all the things. And what happens after a while is our brain's like, oh yeah, we've seen a lot of that. And then all of a sudden somebody pops up in my feed who's sitting in their kitchen with no edits, no screen, no captions, and literally just talking to me like I'm on FaceTime. That's different, right? So again, there's an element of the psychology of what is everybody else doing? So for me, it's not just for engagement and relatability. I'm trying to stand out in the feed by doing stuff that I normally would put in stories and putting it in the feed. So you could do any of the above that you want to do, but I would encourage anyone who's a personal brand to at least tiptoe a little bit into the world of the personal, whether it's your favorite books, what you do on the weekend, right? Something along those lines that's like not at all personal, like who your favorite sports team is, although people might get very riled about that. You never know. So because you'll find that the ones that you think people don't care about are the ones that everybody engages with. And the ones that you're like, "Oh, this is so good. I have spent so much time, so helpful, so valuable." And you post it, and it's like the ones you always think are going to be it usually are not. And the ones that you're like didn't even give two thoughts to is the one that you're like, oh, is that what everybody wanted to engage with? So yeah, you can do whatever feels right for you. I do a whole lot more personal in my stories, but I am incorporating personal into my feed posts as well. And then one other like little like aside to that is somebody asked me yesterday, okay, but not on LinkedIn, right? And I go, no, no, no. Like we think personal means I'm divulging like a deep dark secret or I'm doing something silly. No. Like I could talk about being a mom and an entrepreneur who is on the road speaking. Like it's still a business topic. It's still talking about leadership and entrepreneurship and whatever, and weaving in the humanity that I am as a mom, which is part of my brand. And so you can still share personal stories or threads of those stories in any kind of expertise based content because you are the product, you're the brand. So those human things and elements of your brand, whether you like to run marathons, whether you like to volunteer for the nonprofits on the weekends, none of that has to do with your business, but people will put that on LinkedIn, right? So it's really the idea of along somewhere along the way, that word personal got really weird in our brains. Like we just thought, oh, that's off limits. That's off limits. And it's like, no, the private's off limits, the personal. So I got to figure out a new word for that. A lot of people have a visceral reaction when they hear the word personal.
Can I share something? Hi, Chelsea, it's Amrit.
Hello.
Your book is so awesome. And thanks, Carol, for recommending as well. But I have like a really cool share is that I posted something that I wasn't comfortable with. I talked about, there was a green screen in the back, and I talked about the topic about Sundance Film Festival that's
Mm.
coming in 2027. And I
Mhm.
got like 10 more followers. So I was super, super excited. And people just started commenting, messaging me. So thank you for this book because it's really
Aw,
helped
you're
me like get outside of my vulnerability and share a little bit more personal stuff. So yeah.
Yay. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you said that because my next book that I'm literally like starting to write like today is about the vulnerabilities. It's basically social media therapy. So that's like exactly what I'm writing that for. So yay. The
Yeah.
universe just said, yes, you're on the right track. Thank you.
Since there's so many different platforms, is it normal? I mean, this is what I've been doing. I don't know if it's right or not, but like I'm posting the same thing across all the platforms throughout the week or
Yeah.
whatever. Is that fairly?
Yeah, you know what? That's a great efficient strategy. I mean, really, like especially if you've got like a system that's like going to post to a few places at once, sometimes like a paid system. Um, I personally don't do that only because I don't care to spend the time going into every single one and then engaging. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, going into Facebook and engaging, and then Instagram, and then TikTok, and then this is a lot, right? So for me at this time with my mental and emotional health and like, regulating my nervous system, I am totally good with so focusing on one platform and like loving my community there. And would I grow faster? Would I book more business? 1,000,000% I would. But I just don't, that doesn't feel aligned for me right now. So you can be on as many as you want as long as you are not in burnout mode or resentment mode. Because when we're like, I don't want to do this anymore, you're going to be unhappy. And that energy is going to clearly be coming through all of the other things. And so you have my permission to focus on your favorite one, where you like to hang out, where your people are. What you focus on expands. And for many years, people told me that I was never going to be able to build a business or a brand on this platform or that platform. And I absolutely did, because what you focus on expands. If I want to focus on bus benches and that's how I'm going to build my business, I sure as heck am going to build my business doing bus benches. Whatever you focus on will work. It's the hard part is when you try everything, that definitely gets really strenuous. So more efficient, yes. A must, no, only if you want to. I think in 2025, we kind of all need to be on Facebook and Instagram. I mean, like two at least, but you don't have to hang out in the same capacity on Facebook as you do Instagram. I love Instagram. I could not even tell you the last time I went in and scrolled the feed on Facebook. I just choose not to. I go where I love because I know that if I don't love it, I will burn out. I will not want to do it. And then nobody wants that because then I'm gonna be like, I knew social media didn't work. See? So focus on what you love and focus on the parts you love inside of that platform. For me, I don't love the feed in Instagram. Shocking, right? I don't love real. I really don't. I love stories. I
Mhm.
love stories. If I never had to post in the feed again, I'm here for it. Stories is easy peasy. It's everything in the kitchen sink. There's no editing needed. I love it. So what do is I always spend time in the stories. I post every day. The feed, twice a week. If I'm feeling great, three times maybe. But I talk to people every day because I like it. I make stories because I like it. And then I do the stuff that I don't like as much, but not first. So you also have permission to hang out and do the things you like the most and not, have to force yourself to do the other things because we're just not going to do it then if we don't like it.
But that's great because what I've heard you say today is you need to be responding to the people that are responding to you. So,
Mhm.
and that's true. I'm posting in 4 different platforms and I'm not able to respond in all of those. So I love
It's
it.
overwhelming to do that
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you're not a full-time content creator, nor do you have a team.
right.
You are a full-time real estate human, right?
Yep,
And
yep.
so I can't imagine. The thought of it, I can't imagine. It's a nightmare, and that's why I don't do it because I'm like, oh, I don't want to do that. But the thing of it is, and I want to give you another tip, is that a lot of people come to me and they get into a situation where they've hired a company, okay, to make content and do their posting. And they get frustrated because they're like, why isn't it working? Like, I'm not getting any leads. Like, I'm paying all this money and like, what for what? And I always ask them, okay, let me ask you, what is your current engagement strategy? And they're like, I don't really have one. Like, I just have a posting strategy. And I'm like, oh, okay, that right there is the answer. You could post 3 times a week on whatever platform you want. If you do not go in and engage, even if you're like every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for years, I've posted, depending on what the posts are, it's probably not videos of you, but let's just say, the person who engages more and posts less, in my opinion, is going to get better results than the person who's just out here posting and not engaging. Because engagement is how people see us. Because we've all had that experience where you've like lost somebody in the feed and you're like, oh my God, there's that person again. I haven't seen them in ages. They didn't go anywhere. You just haven't been getting their content because you haven't been engaging. So if you want people to see your content, you must engage with them first so that they are going to start to see your content. And then it's like the personal, the expertise, and the sales. So yeah, the engagement is what makes the platform go round, not the content. Your algorithm doesn't really care about your content. It really cares about, are you keeping people on the platform? And the way you keep people on the platform is when you message them and you're a super fan and they actually have to open up their messages and then see it. It's a really nice human thing to do too, which is why I like it. But it's more about, I always say it's less contenting and more commenting. And it's really the mindset shift or the reframe of your most important content is always your conversations. It's never your posts. People don't remember what I posted a month ago. They remember my conversations I've had with them in the DMs. So it's the same thing that we would do in real life, right?
Chelsea, it's Amber. I have another question. So I guess like messaging you said is important, right? like if someone reaches out to you, like I have this actually agent start to follow me. So I just thanked him like, hey, thank you for your follow. I'll follow you back. And then that led to another conversation. And he's like, do you do open houses? I'm like, yeah, I do. So, I mean, I guess the messaging also helps the algorithm in Instagram. Is that right?
Yeah, the algorithm is really driven by messaging and comments. So those, I basically consider those the same things. Anytime you're talking to someone, and you're talking to someone when you comment, and you're talking to someone when you direct message someone. But the key is I always say, and this is going to be a chapter in my next book. It's going to say, what would you do in real life? Because 99% of the struggles we have in social media can be answered with that one question. So, a lot of people say, okay, great, cool. DMs, like that makes the algorithm go round. People will see my content higher up in their feed if I communicate with them. I'm gonna, copy paste these messages and hit 50 people. The copy paste thing, that's for us. That's not for them. That's for us to say, huh, I got all my engagement done in 10 seconds today. Yay me. Check it off the thing. Um, Also, we don't sell in the DMs. We don't polite spam either, which a polite spam is like, hey, oh my gosh, great to see you guys. Like, looks like you had so much fun on your vacation. Hey, you know what? Interest rates are getting really low. Let me know if I can ever help. That's polite spam. You've come into my sacred space. You have come into my sacred space. And this is what we would do in real life. If I ran into you at Target and I was like, oh my God, Elizabeth, it's so great to see you. Oh yeah. How's the kids? Oh yeah, I can't believe that they're in like sixth grade now. It's wild. Okay, all right, great. Will you say hi to the family? Oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. In case you forgot, here's my business card. I know you're probably not thinking about buying or selling, but if that would be awkward. I'd be like, everything was fine until
Yeah.
you got weird about your business. Like, we don't do that at Target. We don't do that in the DMs. People have this wall up that they think social media isn't real life and I can act like a weirdo and not do things that I would not do outside of it. Like, even the idea of I don't want to be on video because I don't like my voice. Great. Are you going to cancel every appointment you have for the rest of your life because people can't hear your voice? No.
Yeah.
It sounds exactly the same to them on the video or off the video. So we're doing all these things that are weird that we would never dream of doing in real life because we're like, oh, it's social media. I can just copy and paste and tell people about my business. That's for you. That's not for me. That's not making my day, right? It's not like you'd go to somebody who's in the hospital and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I hope you get well soon. You know what I did is I put together a little package. I put my business cards in there. While you're here resting up, if you can think of anybody, we would never do that, right?
Right.
We
Yep.
would be there for the person in a world where that is so hard to do for many of us because we're busy and doing things. And you can be that person that can help someone feel seen and cared about and human. And we can do that through technology at such a scale that we haven't been able to do before. Because 25 years ago, I had to like wait for somebody to call me back. I had to know their number. I had to know their email. I had to leave them a 1 minute voicemail and then wait for them to call me back. We don't do any of that now to make people feel seen. It's amazing the tools that we have in social media. So we don't sell at Target and we don't sell in our DMs. And then the next question always comes in, well, when do I sell? Okay, well, we've got their sales posts. We need to post those, right? We need to talk about it in our stories. But I also say to that, when you're with somebody at the barbecue and they start talking about the market and all the things, what do you do in real life? You know when the right time is to say, well, yeah, if you ever want me to help you with anything or if you have questions, let me know. You know, you don't need a script to be like, hold on, let me see. What do I say? We know. We know at the barbecue. Why don't we know in the DMs, right? You will know. When somebody brings something, you'll know the right time. You're not going to be like, oh my God, what do I do? Like, you will know when a time is appropriate. And usually they come to you because they've gotten to know you. They're asking questions. Like, you will know the right time and the appropriateness for you to be like, hey, you know what? If you ever want to sit down and get some information, like here's X, Y, and Z, they will come to you most of the time. So it's not about like how can I market in the DMs? It's how can I talk to people? Because sales at the end of the day and marketing is how many people did you talk to? How many relationships did you create? And how many people did you share how you might be able to help improve their lives? Like that is literally it. That is sales in one sentence. So I went off on a tangent on the DMs, but that's
Yeah, that was good.
the important one for me.
That was really good.
I just got one today that was like, your so-and-so is horrible. We could help you increase that. And I'm like, that's a great strategy of telling people how awful their content is and then saying, but we can help you. Like, we don't want to do that. Not that anybody here would do that. You know, I'm not saying that, but it's funny some of the DMs that I get. I'm like, wow, I don't know how I'm teaching this, but block.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyone have any other questions? We've had her for almost an hour now, so.
It's been great. Wonderful.
Thank you
Yes,
so very much.
So much.
Well, thank you again. Thanks for pouring into me too. Thanks for affirming this idea that I've been throwing around of maybe it's time for another book. So thank you. I'm going to take this meeting as that today. So I'm grateful for you.
Gina, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay,
Have a really
thank
beautiful
you.
week. And I'll see
Okay.
everybody on the socials. Thanks,
Thank you.
Carol. Bye.